up, U.S. Tzu Chi volunteers visit Haiti to begin their annual rice distribution for the poor. We learn how Tzu Chi Hospital's training for standardized patients became a model for other hospitals to follow. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Marilee Shioda. Thank you for joining us. Recently, Tzu Chi volunteers from the United States began a round of rice distribution in Haiti. As local residents are now familiar with Tzu Chi's aid distributions, the event is no longer chaotic like in years past, as residents wait patiently for the relief supplies' arrival. "25 local Haitian volunteers line up in 2 rows to help at the first large-scale Tzu Chi rice distribution this year. The volunteers arrive at Cite Soleil, the most dangerous, impoverished slum in Port-au-Prince. People have already gathered outside the distribution venue. As Tzu Chi's humanitarian aid occurs each year, those receiving aid know the drill. Though the hot sun is beating down on them, each recipient waits patiently along the school's walls for their supplies. Due to delays at customs, the distribution was pushed back by 2 hours. Waiting so long made some local residents quite anxious. Following directions, recipients enter the venue in an orderly fashion. Upon seeing a pregnant woman coming forth to receive her rice, a volunteer hurries to help her. At this distribution, 2 sacks of rice were given to each of the 1,000 families.
6 people, 4 children, and 2 adults. She needs the rice because she's not walking.
Thank you for your assistance. Thank you so much.
As Master said, they are the field, and we are putting a seed in the field for them to grow and to grow nice.
Next, a team of 9 Tzu Chi volunteers from the United States brought 500 sacks of rice to the Sisters of St. Anne. The sisters will share the rice with not only the nearby impoverished, but also use it to feed students.
Thank you.
Manually carrying the sacks of rice to the storage area, these volunteers are happy to provide much-needed assistance. At the beginning of May, heavy rains fell across Europe, leading to flooding in parts of France, Germany, and Austria. Tzu Chi volunteers in France surveyed the scope of the disaster and visited France's Soleil, where they distributed emergency funds.
Flooding in France led Tzu Chi to distribute emergency relief funds in Soleil, a particularly hard-hit area.
It is heartbreaking to look at the devastation caused by the flood. We brought the Master's care and blessings from Tzu Chi volunteers around the world. We asked the mayor if we could do an emergency aid distribution here.
On this day, 24 families affected by the flooding came forward to receive emergency aid. Households with just 2 individuals could receive $225. Those with an additional person could receive an extra $112.
Tzu Chi came here to help us, which was really surprising. After the disaster, the most urgent thing is to accompany these people. We thank God that Tzu Chi came to help us and provide economic aid to these affected households and let them take the first step after the disaster. This is also spiritual and psychological care. It is important for them to receive such sympathy and assistance. The people of Soleil will never forget this help.
Tzu Chi's good deeds attracted the attention of the local French media. Volunteers hope that their efforts will inspire more people to reach out to the residents affected by the flood.
Next, the Tzu Chi Malaysia chapter has been organizing their emergency aid packages in order to increase efficiency. With such preparation, if a disaster occurs, Tzu Chi volunteers will be able to arrive with help in the area as quickly as possible.
Finding an array of toolboxes, staff of the Tzu Chi Malaysia chapter are planning to accomplish an initiative.
Red reminds people of urgency, so the red toolbox is for the emergency relief tools. blue seems to mark stationary, so we use the blue toolbox for administrative supplies. As soon as we see the color blue, we know there is stationary. Meanwhile, seeing the color red, we know it's something urgent.
With the three colors, materials are divided into emergency relief tools, healthcare packages, and administrative tools. They are put together in a disaster relief suitcase. When a disaster occurs, volunteers will be able to leave immediately.
We do not wait till a disaster strikes before we start to pack the supplies. That will be too late. When we're in that situation, the nervousness clouds our ability to think, and we will not know what to take. If we have something ready, we know to just take the suitcase and head off.
With the frequent occurrence of natural disasters, volunteers will now be able to arrive in the disaster area sooner to provide humanitarian assistance.
In the United States, Dr. Howard Burroughs was the first to train standardized patients in 1963 at the University of Southern California. Standardized patients simulate medical ailments to help medical students during their learning. In Taiwan, the Tzu Chi Hospital began training standardized patients in 2006, which set a precedent for other hospitals across the island.
Portraying the role of a patient and displaying signs of illness are not as simple as one imagines. This is the first step in training standardized patients.
The simulation has to be the same for the students to feel that they are facing the same patient. It can help one evaluate the student's clinical skills.
Standardized patients are medical students' teachers and can help people evaluate the ability and communication skills of students. Dr. Gao Shenbo traveled from Hualien to Dalian Tzu Chi Hospital to share his 10 years of experience.
He taught us the essence, so we know what are things we can avoid and the areas we should work to develop.
In 2006, Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital began its training of standardized patients. In half a year, 32 trainees finished their training. In February of 2008, the hospital's Standardized Patient Center was officially inaugurated.
在慈济世界里，这种的结友情啊，希望呢能成为大医王哈，所以他们才愿意呢付出这么大的代价，来做示范这个标准病人，真的我非常的感恩，所以咱爱好好啊做好以后。
Program coordinator Gao Shenbo is a busy gynecologist. To improve healthcare, he went to Southern Illinois University in 2008 to learn about standardized patients training program. In the same year, he helped organize an international convention on standardized patients, attended by medical professionals in Taiwan and from abroad.
After implementing the program, we discovered we lack manpower and teachers. I think Taiwan needs a comprehensive training program.
Then there is Xie Meiling, who teaches with humor and energy. With a nursing background, Xie was one of the teachers for the earliest standardized patients and later joined Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital's training team.
Dr. Gao is very thoughtful, while I am the one who puts thoughts into actions. After communicating, I started implementation. Sometimes Dr. Gao has to go deliver a baby during class, so he will let me continue teaching. I can help him teach the class.
Having gone through trials and success, this team helps train teachers through workshops and seminars throughout Taiwan.
大家可以在一个很安全的练习环境中，培养你们的技术的熟练跟自信心。
McKay Memorial Hospital began training standardized patients in 2007. Wang Mingshu, who is in charge of recruiting trainees, joined Tzu Chi's workshops. After many sessions, she brought experience back to her hospital.
因为一开始有一个很好的点。
Since we had a good role model to learn from, we were able to smoothly travel on this path. When we are doing well, the ones who benefit are the patients in need of medical care.
As hospitals develop different ways of training standardized patients, they all share the same vision: to train healthcare professionals to better meet the needs of patients.
Next, let's meet photographer Li Tianhe, who photographed some of the victims of last year's Formosa Fun Coast water park explosion for an exhibition. Mr. Li says the goal of the project is not to garner sympathies for the victims, but rather to showcase their strength and perseverance.
我很喜欢的照片就是这一张，这是我们的主视觉。
The bearded and bespectacled Li Tianhe is a photographer that looks like a man of character. After a friend suffered injuries in last year's Formosa Fun Coast explosion, he decided to use his art to document the tragic event.
One of those injured was a friend of mine. After seeing them and discussing with others, the idea of photographing the victims came up. After a lot of discussion, I felt that I could do a little more to help.
The girl in these photos, with painted lips and a bright smile, is a stark contrast to her burned, scarred back and legs. In each photo, capturing the lives and character of his subjects, Mr. Li was at times overwhelmed by the emotional impact of the project.
He was taking photos day after day, and he called me one day and just started crying. He said he thought that there was too much stress for him. He has a friend that suffered burns to almost 90% of his body. When he was taking photos of his friend, it was just very difficult for him.
As I asked them to pose for the photos, I just thought, they have already shown so much courage. They really don't need people's sympathy. They are young and strong, even after this suffering. They will rise back up.
When people see the photographic collection, Mr. Li hopes the images will strike a chord in viewers and will make them think deeply about what happened to the young people who suffered in the disaster. And maybe the photos will encourage people to share their love with those who are in pain.
With the Taiwan government needing to reclaim some of the property of the military dependence villages, it led the government to build replacement housing in order to relocate the residents. Today, we examine how to preserve the close-knit nature of these villages after everyone has moved out and how to cherish these memories.
Beto's Heart Village is the only hot spring military dependence village in the world. Entering Heart Village, we see these public baths which have been abandoned for more than a year. However, you can faintly see the baths and how they would have bathed, using buckets to ladle hot spring water onto themselves. Following the Chinese Civil War, thousands of military members and their dependents immigrated to Taiwan and settled in some 897 military dependence villages. The Defense Ministry oversaw many of these legal settlements, with Heart Village being one of them.
Our little village had only 80 households, but the next generation that we cultivated includes 4 doctors and 2 generals. And then there are so many with masters and doctoral degrees.
This military dependence village turned out to be a wellspring which nurtured the next generation, as well as serving as a second home to these veterans.
我们一个房子分了4户，我那才进来的时候，我有6口人。
88-year-old Grandma Zhou has lived here for 63 years, but this year she's preparing to leave and move into new military dependence housing.
From 1996 until now, we have built 52 military dependence housings. We have moved many of the village elders to these newly built residences.
Due to the fact that old military dependence villages have suffered damage and failed to meet fire code, the government amended laws pertaining to military dependence villages, allowing those administered by the Defense Ministry to move into new homes.
The new place is in a large building, but I still like it here better. I like being close to my neighbors. We all know each other. And when I leave the house, we all say hello to each other. Everyone is quite friendly.
Beto's Heart Village is the last village that we will relocate. After this new housing is completed, our work is done.
However, moving into a larger home comes at a price, as a feeling of these old villages can't be recovered. At Taichung City's Imperial Mansion and Garden, military dependents have mixed feelings about the move.
This public housing is much bigger, as former residents from 12 military dependence villages have been mixed together here.
Public housing and the military dependence villages in the past are totally different. as the latter had small lanes and a type of neighborhood feel. This is completely different as there are less interaction with people in public housing.
While new apartments draw people together in tighter spaces, the actual feeling between neighbors has become more distant. While the feeling once felt in these military dependence villages may now be fading, recapturing the warmth and familial nature of these areas may not come about by changing laws, but ultimately the hearts and minds of the people.
June 21st marked Global Awareness Day for motor neuron disease and amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. On the special occasion, the director of the Taiwan Motor Neuron Disease Association stood out to say he hopes the government can offer more financial assistance to MND and ALS patients.
Chen Damo, who has been suffering from ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease, for 12 years, has a PhD degree in engineering. He had a promising future before falling ill.
He used to love to play basketball and other sports. All of a sudden, he could not do his push-ups. Originally, he thought maybe he was too tired. Then we discovered that he could not recover, and his arms weakened so much that he cannot even lift them.
Suffering from hereditary ALS, this young company owner's life shattered. Fortunately, with his strong will to live, Chen was elected as the director of Taiwan Motor Neuron Disease Association 2 months ago.
I said, make a vow in front of the Buddha and pray for your recovery. What do you want to do if you recover? He said he'd like to help other patients.
Chen is speaking out for ALS patients because the ceiling hoist system used by ALS patients costs about $2,000, and the government does not subsidize its full cost.
The government gives subsidies of $620 to those who suffer the illness, $1,240 to low and middle income families. So patients from a low and middle income family still need to pay $1,000 for the machine, which is a huge burden.
On AMD ALS Global Day, the patients have gathered to express their wish.
For the past 6 years, 5th grader Xu Xudong has been taking care of his father, helping him daily by massaging his back and cleaning his tracheotomy tube. On top of that, he helps around the house to prevent his mother from becoming too tired. This dedication and spirit has earned him the National Filial Piety Award.
As soon as 5th grader Xu Xudong comes home from school, the first thing he does is take care of his father. He removes the phlegm from his father's breathing tube, gently uses a Q-tip to remove the excess, and then massages his father's feet in order to prevent further muscular dystrophy.
Hopefully his condition doesn't deteriorate and just stays stable. I don't want him to get worse. Not really. Well, sometimes there are a lot of tasks to do, but I found out that I just have to finish them quickly.
The father, Mr. Xu, was originally a carpenter until he started suffering from Lou Gehrig's disease about 6 years ago. His wife, Mrs. Xu, does odd jobs and earns about 4,000 NTD every month in income. Still not enough to pay for rent. With their low income, they relied on family allowances and subsidies to get by, and Xu Dong does his part by sharing the housework and taking care of his father.
Sometimes when I'm back from the doctors after getting a shot, he allows me to rest. Whenever his father needs to do something, he takes initiative. On weekends, he gets up earlier than I do.
Despite his extra workload, Xu Dong still has good grades and gets along with everyone in school. His teacher praised him, calling him a well-behaved child. His sense of duty has led him to get the National Filial Piety Award. Xu Dong states that no matter how tough things get, having everyone together at home is already something to be very happy about.
As long as my parents are with me, I'm very blessed.
Tzu Chi volunteers in Batam, Indonesia make home visits to care recipients on the second Sunday of every month. They also invite charity donors to accompany them on these visits for the donors to see how their donations are put to use. These visits also serve as an educational experience for the donors in learning how to count their blessings.
In Batam, Indonesia, Tzu Chi volunteers are holding Care Activities Day, where they invite people who have donated money to visit the homes of care recipients alongside volunteers.
I am really moved, and today I recognize life's impermanence. Seeing how many people are suffering in our society today makes me very grateful for my own fortunate circumstances. I think that being fortunate, I should do what I can to help others.
I want to give my child educational opportunities. No matter where they are, kids these days are very difficult to teach. I think just going to school or learning at home is not enough. That's why I bring him with me to see how other people are living. Then we will understand and be grateful for his own blessings.
In addition to seeing how donations are being used, the visits are also excellent educational opportunities that cultivate gratitude and compassion in the hearts of everyone present.
We aim to inspire compassion in them and motivate them to follow in our footsteps. Then they will go out and help those in need of care.
As the day comes to a close, everyone has a lot to think about and a lot to be grateful for as they plan for the next month's visits.
Recently in Tainan, 50-year-old Mrs. Lin accidentally dropped her cell phone into the trash can on garbage collection day. As the cell phone contained irreplaceable data, she immediately contacted the city's sanitation department to try and retrieve the phone. Let's see how it went.
These sanitation workers have just arrived at the garbage dump site, but they have arrived with a guest, Mr. Lin, who has come to search for a cell phone his wife accidentally tossed in the garbage.
The phone was a gift from my son to his mother, and she was really concerned about the memory card and all the photos she had taken.
The memory card included photos of weddings and travel, which would have been irreplaceable. Miss Lin was preparing to leave for a wedding when the incident occurred. She had put her phone into her makeup pouch, and in her hurry to throw out the garbage, accidentally threw her makeup pouch into the garbage as well.
We used a small bobcat to sift through the garbage until the resident could recognize the bag that they threw out.
The sanitation workers have experience with this kind of situation and patiently help Mr. Lin sort through the mountain of garbage. After a 45-minute search, Miss Lin's garbage and her phone have been located.
Actually, it's really bothersome to the sanitation workers. They were really very helpful, though.
The sanitation workers have plenty of stories of residents accidentally throwing away money, jewelry, and other important items. If this happens to you, try to immediately notify the garbage truck driver. There are opportunities to search the garbage before it reaches the incinerator. However, the best advice is simply,
we hope that when residents are sorting their garbage to bring out for collection, that they won't throw their phones into the back of the garbage truck.
In Pingdong, Tzu Chi volunteers held events for seniors at the Gaoshu Recycling Education Center, as well as the Yanpu Liaison Office, to teach the seniors some helpful stretches, while inviting the seniors' children to enjoy some family bonding time. We will leave you with these images at the end of the program. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.